back to the Irish Mags Show. It is episode 75. That's right, folks. We are now old enough to play in the Craggy Island All Priest over 75 football competition. Alan, get the boys ready from the five-a-side team.
Oh, they will be.
Big. We're going big. My name is Paul. I am, of course, joined by Alan Williamson and Chris O'Martin, and not really a guest because he likes to pop in here whenever something big is going on. Eyes emoji. It is, of course, Tevin Farid. Welcome in, Tev. Good to have you back on the
Sorry,
podcast.
lads.
Welcome.
How are you?
Oh, it's a big show this week, and we have two major announcements to follow very shortly. But before we do all of that, I do have to tell you that the Irish Mags Show is sponsored by Flagman Ireland, who specialise in quality, digitally printed, personalised flags, bunting, tablecloths, table flags, and hand wavers. Their online store also stocks and sells a wide range of international and domestic flags, including what's over Alan Williamson's shoulder, the Irish Mags flag selection, as well as the Flagman Ireland heavy woven government standard Irish tricolour. If you have any flag needs, head on over to flagsireland.com. And I have a flag in Galway now, lads. It's in the house. It survived the day in Galway. How are the lads? Speaking of massive lads, let's not waste any time because we need to get it out there to everybody listening. And if you're watching, we recommend you should be having a look at YouTube for this one. Massive announcement today, folks. As of today, the 8th of May, 2025, the Irish Mags are the official Newcastle United Supporters Group in Ireland and one of the first supporter groups to be confirmed by Newcastle United Football Club. And lads, it feels good. Here we go.
We
are official. Now, I'm waiting for Fabrizio to tweet it out, but I'm sure it's on his list among the many tweets. I think he's busy tweeting about the Pope, but once he gets that done, I think he's going to move over to the Irish Mags. Tevin, straight over to you. Talk us through this massive news, because this, for anyone who doesn't know, a lot of work has gone into this, particularly by Tev and Dara and the Irish Mags Committee. But Tev, you've been at the wheel on this one. Talk us through how long this has been going on, what's gone into it, and what has come out of it.
I think a few years ago we started it with the view of kind of just getting a few lads to meet up in the Camden, me booking 80 seats for about 8 people. And now, which I still kind of think that we would have filled it but now you can see there's about 700 people and it's active. So again, it's just about bringing the community together. But what we have now is thriving, so we're official, but even without the official status, what we've come from to what we are now is fantastic. So I think it's just, like I wouldn't call it a crescendo in terms of like this is us, but I think it's a nice milestone to kind of hit off. And again, with the stuff that's coming in the next few weeks, I think it's onwards and upwards. But no, it's fantastic. Like the Irish Mags are an official supporters group, not just a chat.
Not just a WhatsApp.
WhatsApp group, and not just a bunch of lads fond of a pint whenever there's an excuse to have one. Tev, I'm going to come back to you to talk about the communication from the club and some of the bits and pieces that we've discussed. But just in case there's anyone out there who doesn't know Alan, because like being a Newcastle fan is an interesting experience when we're growing up, and we're not used to happy, good, big things happening, particularly in Ireland, especially over here in the west of Ireland. But like, you have a good knowledge of other supporters clubs around the place, and for a lot of people, supporter club isn't a huge deal. Maybe there's like, it's not breaking news. There's Man United supporters clubs, there's Liverpool supporters clubs, Arsenal, whatever. But I suppose just your experience of supporter clubs, like this is probably a long time coming, but at the same time, what does it mean for us, like as a club, as Newcastle fans here in Ireland?
Well, my own opinion on the supporters club is they're absolutely massive, and this is only going to be such a major thing. And I have a couple of friends who are in other club supporters groups, a couple of Everton, a couple of Celtic, Liverpool, Man United, the usual. But the main thing they get is it's such a massive sense of community. You have a group of mates, and every single one of them has the same thing in their mind every single time you meet up with them, and it's my football club. I have to see them win. And that's the end of it. It's such a massive move for us to officially say, if someone goes looking and Googles Irish Newcastle supporter, it'll invariably bring you to our website. But now it'll obviously bring you to the club's website as well, which gives you just such a massive move in terms of people just finding you legit. Like, you can have 500 different groups, but if you go onto the Newcastle club website and then you see our name on the site, you're just going to go, oh, well, the club are endorsing them, so they must be doing something right. And it's just unbelievable. And as you've said, fair play to Ted and the lads and everyone who's put in the work. It's absolutely unbelievable. And the benefits are going to be massive for us in terms that we don't even know all of the benefits yet. And we're still coming to terms with everything we're going to get. And it's just going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, I fully agree. And, you know, we joke about it sometimes, but like, and this comes straight from Tev, from Jamie, from the early days of the Irish Mags, but, you know, how we've gone about setting up the group, and what's really important is how we conduct ourselves as a group, particularly in public domains and WhatsApp groups and meetups. And, but, you know, when you're affiliated with the club, you know, that comes with an element of responsibility.
Yes.
But like what we would hope is that obviously, I don't want to say opens doors, right? I mean, we're not just going to just throw it into St. James's Park. We'll probably start parachuting into it instead. But no, Chris, sure, you're not parachuting into St. James's Park. But again, that endorsement from the club, Tev, I think is huge, and it's a testament to the work we've done. And I think they made that clear when they've sent the communications over, right? I heard whispers of some communication being sent over as well.
Yeah, so we got a nice letter from Darren Neal's kind of acknowledging the Irish Mags and community, which is fantastic, you know, and kind of just puts kind of us in the map, you know, like there's so many kind of, not just us, kind of different supporters groups, and I think they're very important as well in terms of growth of the club. So everybody has a different reason in terms of why they support Newcastle, in terms of family, friends, a match, etc. But like, again, we're kind of connected, and we're very unique where we're connected kind of with the older generation. So it's not just one or the other. We're all connected in one. We have a huge demographic in terms of the group ages, you know, in terms of everything, you know, and like it works together so well because we all learn from each other. But like we're one big group kind of going from the 80s, 70s, 60s, you know, and I think this is just a form of acknowledgement from the club, you know, but again, there's people that have been doing stuff behind the scenes. There's Al, there's Chriso, there's Dar, there's Colin, there's loads, there's Paul, there's loads of people that have been contributing, you know. So onwards and upwards, as I said, it's not a crescendo, it's a milestone, you know, and want to hit a few more, you know. So it's just the beginning.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be legitimate. Yeah, it's nice to be legitimate for once, you know. But it's a wonderful thing, and just to echo all the sentiments, and it's a beautiful moment, frankly, for everybody involved here, because, like Tevin said, to go from a couple of lads just watching a match and not knowing each other, only from online on Twitter, to a 700 strong community that's only going to like quadruple or, you know, grow exponentially per year. Now with the official endorsement of the club, the legitimacy brings it to our podcast, brings it to all our communications, brings it all to all our meetups. It's not just like you said, Al, it's not just a WhatsApp group of lads just you're going for a pint to see the Chelsea match. Now it's a legitimate event because we're an official group. So, yeah, kudos to everybody involved. I know you all think the same, Tev especially, never in my wildest dreams that I think that would ever get to this. I thought it was going to grow and there's going to be a couple of lads knocking about and, you know, maybe, 100 lads or whatever across the country, but 700 in less than 2 years. And now we're an official club, official supporters club is just magnificent. Magnificent.
Yeah. And I think, Tev, it's fair to say that the club have definitely recognized, in addition to us just being fucking class and being a great bunch of lads, has been, the way we've conducted ourselves in terms of our interactions with the club. I think the professionalism by which the group has kind of portrayed itself. And again, this isn't self-praise for us as a group, but like, this is how we've built out the brand. I think the brand is huge. Yeah. And I know, Tev, the other thing that the reason you were here in the first place, and something the club have commented on, is the community element. And again, this isn't just building a community of we're all fans and we all have a way of, reading messages, whatever. But it's every element of it, the podcast, the website, the meetups, like I was looking through our WhatsApp channel and there's like groups in there for FPL and for horse racing and for FIFA. And, we've got like all the charity things we've done. Just all that sense of community, I think, has really stood out. And I know, Tev, you've made that message very clear, like as the baseline for the Irish. Is that fair to say? Yeah.
Well, look, I think the great thing about us is in terms of the brand is shared. So the likes of stuff that we did in terms of the final, like how many meetups did we have where majority of us were in London? You know, so like the
Mhm.
brand is the brand, but the brand is shared because we trust people and the people trust the brand, you know. So again, it's like the chicken and the egg. But I think it's really important to kind of say, because again, we have trust in people in Sligo, in Cork, in Galway, top left, in terms of all around, but in terms of being a shared sense of community. So like our job is to enhance the experience of Irish Newcastle United supporters, you know, and Newcastle United supporters in Ireland, because it's not just obviously Irish Mags that we get Geordies as well. But for people to come to the Bleakers or kind of other places, Al, you've heard people come and kind of say, "Oh, I found these online and I had the best weekend ever." You know, people are actively kind of saying to us, "You guys made this the best weekend," or "Now I have something to do on a Wednesday in terms of a five-side, etc." So we don't expect you to take every single bit of the Irish Mags, but if there's a part of the Irish Mags that you can dip into, have fun, make a few mates, drink a few pints, that's all that matters. You know, even if you just listen to the podcast and that's all, you know. So again, to be an Irish Mag, you don't need to be in every single thing. But I do think that majority of people are benefiting at least one aspect of what we're trying to do, you know. So that's it.
Do you want to bring it up, Paul? the two visitors we had.
I was going to say, Alan, like you've been at the heart of a lot of the meetups, obviously primarily in Dublin, but around the country. Yeah. I was actually going to ask you, like, we've had Geordies, obviously, it's the obvious one, people coming from Newcastle who Google, like, where to watch Newcastle in Dublin or whatever, and they always find their way to the Bleaker. But it's gone far beyond that, right, in different meetups. You've had a few. I'd say you're collecting them at this stage.
I'll just give you the example of this weekend. So, Friday of the match, got a message. How would I get from Ennistimon to the meetup in Galway? And I was like, I haven't a clue. What is the honest to God's answer? But straight away into the WhatsApp group, asked lads, how do I get from here to here? Like without being stupid. And 2 seconds later, someone had sent me the bus timetable I needed. So I passed it on to the people, not knowing who these were. Come Sunday, we're all in Rosie's after having our lovely breakfast. 3 or 4 pints in, shall we say, an hour before kickoff. 2 of the Chicago
Mary
Mags.
Mullins, by the way. Rosie's in Newcastle, but you had pints taken. Don't worry, you didn't know where you were at one point.
Sorry. All the one to pub. So yeah, 2 Chicago Mags rock in, and they were like, "Oh, thanks for all your help in getting us here." And I was like, "Who are these?" And they were like, "Oh, you sent us the message to say that." And I was like, "Oh, you found us from Chicago. You were in an hour and a half away from where we were, and you got the bus up to see it." They're like, "Yeah, we wanted to watch the match with other Newcastle fans," and that's exactly what we want. It was just such a surreal experience. I was like, this is unreal. From not knowing how to do anything to knowing exactly what bus to get, where to get it within the space of 30 seconds. It just shows, as Tev says, the community is a massive aspect of the Irish Mags, and it's unreal.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it is. And like, it just kind of keeps on growing, I think. And, you know, I mean, we could talk about it all day, I suppose. But I think Tev's point about trust is a strong word, but like the fact that the Irish Mags isn't like, it's not like the official membership or the official supporter group status isn't for the Irish Mags committee. It's for the Irish Mags community, the Irish Mags group. And that's where, you know, we constantly say it, and many have done it. Organize a meetup in Sligo, in Limerick. You know, we will get flags arranged if you don't have one down there already. I know often we've had people travel to those. You know, our dream is that there's at least one pub in every county that lads get to at least a couple of times a year. And I'll give you the Galway example is great. Obviously, it helped that a bunch of you traveled down last Sunday, and we had a hell of a day. But up until probably 6 weeks ago, we'd only really had a small handful of meetups in different pubs trying to get a feel for the right place. And then we settled in Mary Mullins. They were very welcoming to us. Alan, who's in the Irish Mags group, another Alan, there's more than one, is best mates with the guy who runs the place, which definitely helped the case as well. And they're happy now to book us our tables, and out in the beer gardens, massive TVs. Like, that's gone from nothing 2 months ago to what could potentially be a really frequent meetup spot. Obviously, I'm like one of the few that are based in Galway City. I'm not going to be there all the time, but it's there to run itself is the point. But I probably will be there, in fairness.
Yeah, let's be honest about
it. Yeah, you will.
Oh, let's put more than that. And I just love that sense. But it comes back to the original point, I guess, is this is the work. It's a load of work done by Tev, by Dara, by the committee, Graham, everyone involved. But it's for everyone, and everyone has contributed in some shape or form by being part of this group, and that's what we want. Excellent. And the last point I was going to say, so Tev, you know, we've got 3 games to go in the Premier League, and 2 of them are at home. So we're going to be we're going to have a lot of Irish Mags on tour. Is it free permission or free pass for lads to go around Billy Big Balls and telling everyone from the rooftops, when someone says, "Who are you or where are you from?" you say, "Well, we're the official Irish Newcastle Supporters Group," because we've not been able to say that before.
100% trademark it. We are the official Irish Mags support, NUFC support. Official Irish Mags. Maybe just official. Maybe
straight up official. We're just official.
We're just official. But like as I said, like this kind of official status and stuff like that, like we are official, but we are open as well. So we are still kind of trying to drive membership. We are looking at kind of seeing what we do in terms of membership packages. So, like there is still time to come in, kind of engage, like we are welcoming groups. So again, we're official, but as we say, we're official for the community. So again, come in, get joined. And even as well in terms of volunteers and stuff, I know we were talking about kind of a few weeks ago, but like we have had lads kind of inquire in terms of volunteering to kind of help us out, etc. We're an open group, so again, official in one sense, but like still the same processes in terms of getting people involved,
Absolutely. And Krisho said the number 700. Are we at the 7? I haven't been tracking the numbers, but I in my head, if someone asks me, I kind of tend to go over 500 just because I hadn't checked.
Yeah.
The growth is I suppose it's rapid. In fairness,
it is. No, I think it is, Paul. Like I mean, it's in the main group. It's like 680 something or 690 something, and then there's a couple of dudes that are in separate little elements of the community. So I think all in it would be over 700. Yeah.
Okay. And we've got a lot of by association. I mean, there's a lot of people's other halves or mates or whatever that they want to be a part of what we do because we're class. Like I had up in Mary Mullins there last Sunday when you lads were down. I had a mate who's a Chelsea fan coming in because he listens to the podcast and he wanted to come in and meet his heroes. And he was crushed when one of those, Krisho, hadn't travelled to Galway. Absolutely crushed his dreams. Made the journey all the way up. And Krisho wasn't here, but he'll be happy to hear your voice back on this week's pod. Krisho,
yeah, sorry about that.
You can say sorry, Gary. Say sorry, Gary. Krisho.
Sorry, Gary. I'm a clown. I went to London. I had too much to drink, and I couldn't make the bus. I'm a clown.
You're an official clown.
Well, at least I'm an official clown. I'm getting that. I'm getting that in a t-shirt.
Hashtag official. Can you get it on the back of your when they release a new kid? I think we do a petition for Krisho to have official.
Mags merch. We're looking for an official top.
Official clown, indeed. No, look, it's class, and it only goes from here, I suppose. We've just had the announcement today. We have obviously a bit of information from the club. They've sent us some nice branding, which we put across the WhatsApp groups. We'll have an announcement on the website as well. There's also some very nice phone backgrounds, wallpapers. Dare I check? Have we all put them on already? Is it too soon to check? Are we all got them on our phones? Look at that. Look at that. They're all there already. Krisho, you could barely get your laptop going.
Give me one.
But we'll be sharing all that material as well. So we can, as we say, represent the official Ireland Newcastle United Supporters Group, aka the Irish Mags. We are huge. Massive. Right. That brings it into that section. We're going to take a quick break, and afterwards, well, believe it or not, lads, we have another big announcement to go through. So let's get refreshed and come back for big announcement number 2. How are the lads? Welcome back to the Irish Mags show, in for part 2, lads. And in part 2, we have announcement number 2 of this week's pod. It's just an announcement pod, really. We've got all of the news to announce. And we're going to go over to Alan Williamson for the big announcement of the week.
So the big announcement this week, well, the second big announcement of the week, a little bit smaller than our official news, but we are holding our first inaugural official Irish Mags Charity Cup, which will be played in the Newcastle Foundation in Newcastle on the weekend of the match is the 25th of May, but we are playing on the 24th of May, on the Saturday of the match. So this Charity Cup is specially for the Irish Cancer Society and the Newcastle United Foundation. And if you have a look on the screen, the QR code is there that you can donate to that. We're nearly a third of our way to our goal, which if you could get us to the goal, it would be absolutely amazing, because they're two fantastic charities who do so much good work in Ireland and in Newcastle, and it'd just be amazing to give a great donation to them. So the link is on the screen if you're watching, and it's also in the description of the podcast and everywhere that you can find it. So if you could, anything you have would be great to go to it. And in the tournament itself, you will find that there will be 2 Irish mag sides. There will be a side consisting of warm flags, so you might get to see a few cool flags if you do show up, and another special guest team that we were just waiting on confirmation. And once that is confirmed, we will get that across all social media. So it's going to be a great weekend. If you can get yourself across, it'll be unbelievable. But as we said, if you can give anything towards our goal of reaching the target for those 2 amazing charities, that'd be unbelievable. And it's going to be a great weekend.
A great weekend indeed. And that's the Saturday before our last game of the season, which is Everton on the Sunday. Correct.
On the Sunday.
I'm gutted. I am going to Newcastle, but I'm going on the Sunday morning. I have my nephew's communion on the Saturday. But I'm told there'll be free drink at that, so I'll make up for it, and I'll catch up with you in Newcastle then. That is going to be a deadly event. There's information on the website, in the WhatsApp groups. We had the QR code on screen, which I'll try and put back up on the screen before the end of the show. But there is a link in the description to the GoFundMe, all for charity, for great causes as well, as we always do with the Irish Mags. Looking forward to that one, lads. That is going to be good crack indeed. Do we know who our best players are? I'm not going to be there. Probably will be the drunkest player anyway.
Word is Al and Dara are going to be finding out, for the can the real Irish Mags team stand up?
The captain's armband is just over my shoulder here, so I'm waiting to get it back on.
Jesus. If it doesn't go well, it'll be a black armband needed afterwards.
Exactly.
If the results doesn't go well. Speaking of which, Krisho.
Yeah.
We have a match this weekend. There's a match this weekend. Did you know?
Did we? Do we?
Yeah. Chelsea. Newcastle United against Chelsea. And it was originally scheduled for Saturday. And then the old Conference League run that Chelsea have been at, I think, was the reason it was moved to Sunday. It is Sunday at 12. Krisha, you'll be able to go to Mass in the morning and then hopefully get into the bleaker.
Yeah.
Important.
Mass is important.
To watch the match at 12. We're going to start off. I think this is the game that defines whether Champions League is happening or not, to be honest. As in, I think it's the biggest opportunity, the most important. In particular, lads, as it stands now, before game week 36, which is Newcastle and Chelsea, among others, Newcastle and Chelsea are level on points, 63 points, and we're level on goal difference. I think it's plus 21.
Yeah.
And Newcastle are 4th, and Chelsea are 5th, because we have won 19 games and they've won 18 games. I don't even know when head-to-head comes into it. I don't even know. It's all too confusing. We can do without goal difference, and we can do without level finishing.
Well, Liverpool didn't do us any favours by capitulating and rolling over and letting Chelsea beat them 3-1.
They really didn't.
And then against Brighton, I know you guys were there. You're probably too drunk to even watch the game, but it was a bit of a I think we played well, and we had some chances, but I don't know. It's just a bogey team. It just stank. It's just stank of a bogey team. No matter what we were going to do that day, getting 3 penalties, which clearly 2 of them were not. I was furious in the group. I think maybe you might have seen it, all about Willock, because that was a very terrible, unprofessional behaviour. That dive, it was shocking. I understand, if he got some kind of a clip, but he didn't. But luckily, we got a penalty. But it's this game against Chelsea, and I know I said last week that the Brighton game was our biggest game, but now that we've got our draw, which Al called, get a draw, just get a point and get out of there, because it's obviously cursed, that stadium. This game, I suppose, like you said there at the top there, Paul, is the season-defining game because of how close we are in the league and everything else. And Chelsea have really hit a rich vein of form in the last, 6-7 games maybe. They actually start looking like a top 4 team. So I'm just slightly concerned because we're not the greatest on a Sunday morning at 12 o'clock. Usually, Newcastle, they aren't really the greatest at waking up on a Sunday and playing a game. But I have a little bit of I'm going to stay positive, because that's what I am now. I'm super positive right up until the end of the season. So
I'll believe that. I'll believe that when I see it. I mean, this is coming from the lad who just said to us that we were too drunk to watch the match. He was too drunk to even get to Galway to watch the match with us. So, I mean, pot kettle black, if you don't mind. Alan, the one thing I'd say here with this game, I was looking at our recent record against Chelsea. So, in the league, we've actually lost the last 2 games against them, but they were both technically away from home. So, our last home game was I think it was November 23. We beat them quite well. So you'd have to go back to our League Cup game, 4th round, I think. Was that just after the Forest?
Yes, I think it was.
Where we beat them 2-0. And I watched the highlights. And all I took from the highlights, which you kind of just sometimes forget from particular games, because there's so many games, and I'm a certain age who consumes a certain amount of alcohol. But if you watch the highlights, you go onto NUFC TV or onto the NUFC YouTube channel, the first thing I can see repeatedly, even for goals we didn't score, or the own goals that were scored, was the intensity of the press. They just couldn't handle it from the beginning, and I'd kind of forgotten about it. So I think the Isaac goal was the usual Joe Linton press bullying, and against a team trying to play off the back. And then I think there was an own goal. It was a similar story, and Joe Linton was involved again. Yeah, Disassi own goal. I say this knowing that Joe Linton isn't there, but just thinking about that press, and for a team that can be shaky coming out the back, like, is that our greatest weapon here, or do we just have enough class to beat them as is because we're Newcastle?
We have enough class to beat them. We 100% have enough class to beat them, but the press is going to be absolutely massive. And there was talk that Joe Linton could be back for 1 game of the last few if you were going to risk him, and if he was available, I would throw him straight in, and if he has to come off after half an hour, he has to come off after half an hour. But otherwise, I'm saying this for 3 weeks now, Joe Willock he's in the last chance saloon. He's nearly out the door of the last chance saloon at this stage of the game. But if he comes out and pulls a performance out of the bag, I'm not being funny when I say it could be career defining for him, that he in the nicest possible way, he's not going to nail down a starting position with a midfield of Bruno, Joe Linton and Tonali. But he could stake himself for getting a hell of a lot more minutes than he has been from what he's been showing recently. So it's going to be a massive game from him. And he is one who can instigate the press as well. So
he will be playing. You think he'll be in the midfield tray?
Absolutely. Yeah. If it's not Joe Linton, it's going to be Willock. He's not. If you're listening to what Howe has been saying, Longstaff is as good as gone, and Miley just isn't confident at the minute, because he's lost his starting berth in that midfield, and he's kind of the type of player you have to give a couple of games of a run to, like Willock is, but Willock is a couple of games into that run, so it's going to be him.
And Tev, I know you're a big Joe Willock fan. I remember because when he was putting together a few good performances, there was is it the Trivella? Is that the name for that pass he did for Isaac?
Yeah.
And and the direct running, the interchange with him and Joe Linton on that left hand side. Yeah, like, we've not seen that Joe Willock. But my question for you is: does Joe Willock have the performance that Alan is talking about, particularly the Joe Linton-esque performance? We need Joe Willock to not do what he normally does on the ball, but we need him to do what Joe Linton does off the ball, and that's smashing into lads, closing them down and making life hell. Does he have that performance in him?
I think if you look at the past few games, I think not all aspects of his game have been crap, but what's being shy is his end product. So you can think about Brighton as well. Like, he was driving with the ball, he was doing things, but he seems to be trying very hard to do something, like to finish off kind of the last chance. I think at the start when he was running with the ball against Brighton, he tried some weird shot that went over the bar when he had about 3 people in the box to pass too.
Yeah.
So if he's driving with the ball, he looks like he can run, because remember, there are previous versions of Joe Willock when he runs with the ball, he'd fall down and he'd do his hamstring. It's just that last component that's kind of getting us. And if we're going to go to the Champions League and we're trying to be consistent with finishing top 4, top 5, I think we need players with kind of that finesse, like long are the days that we just drive up and down. Like, we're going to be controlling kind of games more often than not, especially after this window. So you need people with level heads. So again, I'd say Joe Willock will start on Sunday, but as Alan said, like, it's D-Day, you need to show up,
I think he can be accused, frankly, against Brighton of trying too hard. He really, really wanted to contribute. God bless the guy. Like, he does have a powerful surge running down the wing and everything else. He's ferocious, frankly, and he's got some tricky skills. But the certain options that he had, he just made the wrong option again. And it's like as if his brain just had a brain fart, and he was, and he's like, and you said last week, Al, he's a confidence player. So I think over the course of the game, his confidence went, and that showed in the hellaciously over the top dive that he made. He wasn't even touched at all. But like, it's such a Joe Linton, and he did mention it last week. Joe Linton is such an enormous loss for our team, not just in midfield, just in general, as a presence and as a player. And I just don't think Willock is anywhere near it. I'm really concerned that he's gonna have a poor performance again. And we don't need any of the players to have anywhere near a poor performance on Sunday. So look at fingers crossed for the guy. I mean, I don't hate or anything, but I'm with Al here. If he doesn't play well against Chelsea, get him out, get him gone. Sorry, Tev, get him gone.
The one thing I'll say is he's played well against Chelsea before.
He scored that goal, that class goal.
Yeah, and I think it depends what kind of Chelsea we see. Now, like against Liverpool, I think they went with Lavia and Caicedo. Lavia adds something to that Chelsea team that they didn't have before. So there's two ways of looking at that. Like, it's a bit more robust of a midfield. It allows your man Enzo to break forward. At the same time, they're players that want to be on the ball, so it might encourage a bit of that, playing out from the back, which we love. Like, there's no way in 90 minutes if they start to try and play out the back with two of those midfielders looking to receive the ball, there's no way Fabian Schär doesn't end up there trying to do one of his, barge in, win the ball and just shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of okay with that, but I think for us it's about setting the tone. Alan, just to circle around on Chelsea before we do predictions, what would you fear most on Sunday? Like, either from us, but obviously, Chelsea have some quality in that team.
Chelsea have unbelievable players. They have a blank checkbook. The rules don't seem to apply to them when it comes to that. So, like, they have their 700 players in every single position, and that's the worrying thing. They could play 3 players in nearly every position, and every single one of them would be unbelievable. And you're going, who are we going to come up against? The players they have at the minute that are playing, especially Palmer, who seemed to get into a bit of form there last week after not playing very well after Christmas, just in time to come to St. James's, is always what you really love to see. But come here, their big threat is the strength of that midfield. And as you said, Lavia is unreal. Caicedo this season has been sensational for them. And it's going to be a serious battle between hopefully Joe Linton, Tonali, Bruno, and that midfield there. But Isak has to play well. He looks like he's carrying a knock for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he didn't look fit, Al, against Brighton. He didn't look fit, did he?
He hasn't looked fit since the cup final. He hasn't looked fit since the cup final. He has to have a massive game. Otherwise, we're against nothing. You cannot carry a player against a team as good as Chelsea. Like, you might laugh and say they have all this next. They're a very good side at the end of the day. It has to be a big performance from every single man on the pitch. So Chelsea's biggest threat is just the unknown of what you're going to come up against, I think, and that they're in good form as well. It's tough.
Yeah,
it is tough because that's why I think it's one of the reasons I said, do we have the quality to beat them? I think on paper at least they could play. You can look at their front 3, let's say, and probably you're going to see Jackson up there, but even that was kind of questionable. It's different points of the season, but you could see Madueke, you could see Sancho, you could see Pedro Neto, you could see, Cole Palmer, depending on where they play him, depending on what structure they're playing. I'm probably forgetting plenty of names. Nkunku was just barely getting a look in, one of the most highly rated players 2 seasons ago. It is mad, and that's why I think that it comes back to those highlights that I saw in that game in the League Cup, where it didn't matter who they had because our press and our intensity just bamboozled them to the point where they lost the game before they could even get into it. I mean, we did beat them 2-0. It probably should have been more, but we basically went, right, we'll beat them 2-0 and then we'll lock down the game and control it. And it's interesting because against Liverpool, Liverpool had 65% possession.
Yeah, and
Chelsea, and Chelsea, Maresca has even said, that they're not trying to be a transitional team. Like, we're probably a transitional team. We're a catch on the break and a kind of a counter-attack team. That'll be interesting as well, because they seemed happy to let Liverpool have the ball. And we don't really want to have the ball. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of lines up. But I have full faith in Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall to match this, to have look back on what Chelsea are doing, have plenty of time to prepare for it. And as I said, what I'm hoping for within 10 minutes, that it's men against boys in terms of that press, that bullying and that intensity. We just need someone to do the Joel Linton job. And
that's it.
Submit your applications, because if it's not Willock, it needs to be someone. And he'd be sorely missed. Big question, lads. Predictions. Tev, you've been a bit too quiet there, so I'll make you uncomfortable first. I want to hear your prediction for Sunday, and obviously your scoreline that you think we should see.
So I think Anthony Gordon starts and we beat them 4-0. I actually think Everton probably beat a hard at home game. I think they probably get a bit cocky from last week, come at us, and we break them. I say we stretch the pitch. The slagging for Joe Willock, stuff like, I think actual suit was playing Chelsea, because obviously they're going to be in a bit of form kind of coming to us, but I think we trash them 4-0. Anthony Gordon 2 goals, Isaac penalty, and then Shar halfway line.
He's trying already.
I would love that. I mean, it was a bit wild until you said the Share thing, but I'm very on board with the scoreline. And again, it is reflective of, well, if we do bully the shit out of them, that we could get there. I have a feeling that Crisho is, even though he thinks he's Mr. Positive, I can't see him going with a similar scoreline of 4-0.
No, if Isaac is even 95% fit and gets into the game, and we start ferociously as we usually do at St. James's Park, and we don't have a Sunday morning, the team just woke up at 11 a.m. kind of performance, I can see us getting 3-1. So 3-1 win, and Isaac scoring 2. One of them will be a penalty. If Isaac is not hanging about and not really playing that well, and we have to resort to, 6-month contract Wilson, or, Happy Boy Osula, who, again, could be a new Bambi, but let's hope he isn't. It could be a very difficult watch on Sunday for everybody here. Don't need to piss on your parade, everybody. It could be a difficult watch because Chelsea are in form. We're in form, I get it. But I think the St. James's Park element of it, and the fact of how important it is, and we have one of the best managers in Europe, I think we will get the win. So 2-1, close match, or if Isaac's on it, we win 3-1. But we win. There you go. We win.
Another W on the board. Right, Alan Williamson. I don't like the head gesture. For those who are just listening and not watching, he did the old head gesture where he went, well, it was hesitant at best.
It's going to be a superb performance from us this Sunday. We're going to come out all guns blazing. The ball is in our court to guarantee we get Champions League football. We are going to come out at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and we're going to run Chelsea into the ground. We're going to beat them 2-0. Isaac will get 1, and Willock will get 1. It's happening. He's going to have his performance, and we're going to do it. So there's my prediction.
Interesting. Well, I can't not throw in and make it 4 wins out of 4 now, lads. Can I really? In all fairness, what kind of fans would we be on the day we turned official? I do think we'll beat them. And I don't see it being as comfortable. And the reason I'm saying that is I think we will dominate most of the game. And like I do think we could be a goal or 2 ahead, but it's what they have on the bench that worries me, because we don't have that, and we have a reluctance to change too much unless we are well ahead. So that's where I feel like they have players that can make a bigger difference. So I think in like a 3-2. But at a point where we were 2-0 up or 3-1 up, and it finishes 3-2 rather than it going to the wire and us getting a late winner or something. I think I see a 3-2 scoreline, but like the scoreline flatters them almost because of the quality they have for the last 10 minutes versus the kind of tired legs we have. And I do think what will come into this at 12 o'clock on a Sunday in the stadium is we're going to need that 12th man to be fucking massive.
Absolutely. That's
because again, we played them in the League Cup, and it was the 4th round, so probably wasn't. It was obviously earlier in the competition. A lot of those players haven't experienced what it's like, properly in St. James's Park. Because the last time we would have played them before the League Cup was in the league back in November 23. So I think we need to blow them away, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. So
yeah,
fingers crossed, lads, we can do the job, because by God, Champions League football, if we nail that
many
down,
trips, many trips.
Many trips.
So many trips.
Latvia or bust out the window, Alan, from last time.
I've already bagsied Madrid, so the lads have already had to deal with that. That I'm doing the Madrid trip, so it's happening.
They're all
Portugal, Porto, Lisbon, Braga. I don't know how they're getting on, but we're going Portugal.
Look at. I think at this point you'll take anywhere, but it'd be nice to have some choices. The one benefit, one of the best things that comes out of the new Champions League format, is you get this extra fixtures, so potentially you've 4 locations to choose from in the group stages, at least. So bring it on. If we get 3 points, I think it all but would guaranteed mathematically, obviously depending on how other results will go. Let's wrap up the show, but before we finish up, we say Madrid, we say Porto, we say Latvia, but Alan, what about Dublin at the weekend? Are we having meetups in Dublin and or anywhere else?
So far confirmed is Dublin. Nowhere else, is it, Tev? No, it's just Dublin for the time being. So I'm actually not going to be in the Bleaker this weekend. Shock horror. Yeah, record scratch.
Wow.
I will not be there. I will be sunning myself in Portugal for a wedding.
He's doing the groundwork for next season.
It's tough. It's tough at the top. It's tough at the top.
Tough at the top.
So Sunday, Johnny has agreed to open up at about 11:30 a.m. for breakfast and maybe a pint or two if you're lucky and well behaved. So anyone who's in and around Dublin or anywhere near us, get yourself into the Bleaker. The more the merrier. You have to cheer us on as we get Champions League football nearly guaranteed as we go out and beat Chelsea. So if you're anywhere near us, come on in.
Yeah, fantastic.
Love it. I'll be stumbling out of Carrick-on-Shannon, County Leitrim, following a stag party on the day before on the Saturday.
Nice.
So I don't know if I'm genuinely not sure. Since it got moved, it threw my logistics all over the place. I don't know if I'll be watching it in a pub before we leave, on the bus on the way down, stopping on the way home. I have no idea, but I'll be watching it somewhere regardless. It's too big to miss.
On the pod.
Exactly. So if any of the listeners are floating around Carrick-on-Shannon on Saturday, I'll be hard to miss.
He is hard to miss, everybody.
He'll be one of the prison.
Dear.
Yeah. He's friendly. He hugs you when he's drunk.
Yeah. He doesn't bite. He doesn't bite. Well, sometimes he
doesn't bite.
Yeah.
We need to get some more of those sombreros that we stole on Sunday in Galway from the Mexican party that was on at the same place. Right. Well, on that bombshell, that brings episode 75 and the big announcement show for this week to a close. As usual, check out theirishmags.com. You get updates on all those announcements that we have told you about. The announcement that we're officially the official Newcastle United Supporter Group for Ireland. The Charity Cup that will be taking place the weekend of the Everton game, and everything else that's going on in the community. And of course, all of our socials are below, and do all of the usual liking and subscribing. We'll be back for more Irish Magnus next week. So until then, we'll say, how the lads, slán go fóill. Thank you for listening. And to Alan, Tev, and Chris Show, thank you for joining me this week.
Pleasure.
Slán,
Slán.
Official boys.
#official.